think it was the very first full episode I ever did on YouTube, where I noted that the massive overreaction from everyone, from cricket fans to the Prime Minister at the time, Malcolm Turnbull, to Steve Smith's and Dave Warner's ball tampering scandal. And here we are again with yet another galaxy-brained balls up by the captain of the Australian Test team, Tim Paine. All less than a month before the start of an Ashes series on our home turf. Unbelievable. Now, obviously there's a couple of issues at play here, but the big one is the importance we place on elite sports people to be the moral guides of Australian society. And believe me, we could certainly use some right about now, but I think it's a mistake to expect those in the public eye, with thousands of adoring fans who would, quite literally some of them, jump into bed with them at any moment, to remain morally pure throughout the peak of their adult lives. But having said that, if we can accept that Tim Paine probably copped a beating from his wife when he got home from that tour and spent a couple of weeks sleeping on the floor in the laundry, he did inform his family of the incident at the time, and they've given no indications that they won't stick by him. I'm not sure there's much more here than a bit of flirty horseplay between consenting adults who work in the same industry. Apparently the woman in question was sacked shortly after and is now facing charges of criminal theft, but that's not really relevant to whether or not an incident like this from 3 years ago should see the Test captain replaced, particularly if you believe, as I do, that the Perth Test match should be cancelled and WA cut adrift into the Indian Ocean so that Tim Paine could finally get a Test century and in front of a home crowd in Tassie before he retires. The man's 37 years old. He doesn't have a lot of first-class cricket left in him. Now, it's certainly not my place to judge whether your flirty horseplay ends up with you transmitting photos of your genitals to others. And keep in mind, anything that so much as passes through a network cable on its way to another device never, ever goes away. But hey, maybe Paine's just got an awesome dick and he thought it would impress. I don't know. Why people in the public eye feel the need to put on film or on photograph their dirty laundry, and why their friends feel the need to share that intimate moment with the world, I will never understand. But again, elite athletes are not always known for their galaxy-brained IQ. A tearful Tim Paine stood down from the Australian cricket captaincy in emerging sexting scandal on Friday, 3 years after predecessor Steve Smith departed in similarly emotional scenes. The shock announcement leaves the team without a captain on the eve of the Ashes. When the dust settles, Pat Cummins is expected to be appointed, and that might be the one bit of good news to come out of this. Pat Cummins is one of the world's best bowlers and by all accounts, a top bloke. And I'd put money on the fact there's no dick skeletons in his closet. Paine's announcement came as the Herald Sun published a salacious text message exchange between the cricketer and a Cricket Tasmania employee on the eve of the last Ashes series in 2017. Well, thank you, Herald Sun. You're doing God's work. The cricketer is also said to have sent a lewd photo, which the woman complained upset her, as most of those photos seem to do. The 37-year-old Tasmanian made the decision to stand down on Friday after Cricket Australia's board held an emergency meeting on Thursday night. It's understood Paine felt little option but to go after he learnt that the text exchange would be revealed, even though he was cleared of any offence by a Cricket Australia investigation at the time. The Weekend Australian can reveal that a thorough investigation and report into the incident was conducted by Cricket Australia in May 2018, just weeks after his appointment as captain. Cricket Tasmania confirmed it had also investigated the events, which involved a woman who was dismissed around the time, shortly after I believe, of the text exchange and is facing criminal charges. Paine's contract has been extended 3 times since the investigation was concluded, and an emotional Paine was apologetic during a brief press conference in Hobart. I am deeply sorry for the hurt and pain I have caused to my wife and my family, first and foremost, and to the other party, the father of 2. Said, I'm sorry for any damages this does to the reputation of our sport, and I believe it is the right decision for me to stand down as captain, effective immediately, as I do not want this to become an unwelcome distraction for the team ahead of the Ashes. Might be a bit late for that. I've loved the role as captain and it has been the greatest privilege of my sporting life to lead the Australian cricket team. I'm grateful for the support of my teammates and proud of what we have achieved together. To them, I ask for their understanding and forgiveness. To Australian cricket fans, I'm deeply sorry that my past behaviour has impacted our game on the eve of the Ashes. For the disappointment I've caused to fans and the entire cricket community, I apologise. Again, why is it our place to be disappointed in someone for flirty horseplay outside of their marriage? I don't, let he who is without sin cast the first stone, but that's not the world we live in, is it? I've been blessed with a wonderful, loving and supportive family, and it breaks my heart to know how much I've let them down, as it should. The Herald Sun on Friday revealed the text exchanges that sparked Paine's resignation. They took place on November 22 and 23, 2017, on the eve of his return to the Australian Test team. So I want to paint you a picture. You've never really made your mark on first-class cricket. You're about to retire to go work in, the marketing department of a vastly inferior cricket ball manufacturer to the Dukes used in the motherland, and suddenly you get a call saying Steve Smith's been boned and David Warner's a dick. We need you to captain the side, which ends up extending your career by years, during which time you and Justin Langer, another Australian cricket legend, drag Australia's cricket culture out of the 70s and into the modern era. The adrenaline would be pumping through every vein in your body, and you'd probably be more than a little excitable, especially in the middle of a tour. And as the news makes its way through the gang back at Cricket Tasmania, you're getting well wishes from everybody and maybe a few naughty texts along the way. Let's assume you actually graduated from year 7 before the advent of smartphones and you don't ever send pictures of your dick to anybody. And suddenly what we're left with is private communications between two adult humans who work in the same industry that eventually graduates to flirty horseplay. On the very evening, mind you, that you've been drafted as the captain of the Australian side. Why anyone's workplace would decide to insert themselves into that relationship and play moral arbiter, even though they found he ultimately did nothing wrong, at least as far as his contracts were concerned, is frankly beyond me. And it's indicative of Australian society in which we now live, where we feel entitled to judge everyone, anyone and everyone, based on everything from relationship status to otherwise private health decisions, as if we have the right to never ever get sick when we go outside. Now, the dick pic probably does end up costing him something because he's, a married man with 2 kids at home and ostensibly loves his wife. Cricket Tasmania, which must consist of about 4 people, and Cricket Australia both investigated the incident after the woman was fired, and both found he hadn't breached a single clause in any of his contracts. The communication was consensual between adults and otherwise none of their business. So they say nothing and get on with life. Now, to me, at least, that's probably where this incident should have ended, with Tim in the doghouse at home and learning how to get past 70 runs on the field. But once again, that's not the way the media works in this country, and it's certainly not the way the Herald Sun works when it comes to highly paid sports stars, whether it's AFL or cricket or actually that's it, just AFL and cricket, because no one in Victoria even knows what rugby is. I mean, if the Conservative politician and ostensible family man Barnaby Joyce can actually cheat on his wife with a much younger woman who works directly under him at Parliament House in Canberra, and then bail on his 3 beautiful daughters to start up a new family because he doesn't believe in the rubbers and still gets to make it back to being Deputy Prime Minister. But Tim Paine somehow feels obligated to stand down because of some, I'll say it again, flirty horseplay. Our moral compass in this country is in serious need of recalibration. I know we love our athletes and we project ourselves onto our sporting heroes, so this is always disappointing when it comes out in the media, but the fact is we shouldn't be doing that, and they should be as entitled to private lives as anyone else. Thankfully, he is still on wicket-keeping duties for the coming Ashes series, but this is a bit of a Gladys, really. Getting a whiff of scandal and then bailing on the people you lead at a critically important time. R.I.P. Timmy. You probably should have bribed Rupert Murdoch to sit on the story for just a few more months so you could end your career on a truly high note. But let's be honest, as long as Pat Cummins and not Steve Smith takes on the role of the captain, I think the Test team will live to see another trophy and weather this barely a scandal. I'll see you at, let's say 8 PM on Wednesday, because 9 PM is just too late in the day for this old codger. Cheers.